So I'm having a chat with Keith of We Are Scientists. How are you?
I'm all right. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Thanks so much. So we've been playing a new single of yours called Please Don't Say It. Tell us a bit about the
Appreciate
single.
it. Sorry, tell you a bit about it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, what can I possibly say? I feel like it speaks for itself. But look, uh, I'm not just a musician. I'm a wordsmith in my own right. So I'm going to say it's a it's a dance through the darkest of caverns, but with a bright light at the end of it. And normally you're advised not to go toward the light. In this case, I think it's quite safe to approach.
Good to know. Good to
Um,
know.
yeah, it's just sort of it's sort of a dancey number. It does have like a slightly more ominous vibe than I think We Are Scientists normally brings. Um, but it's still, a pretty upbeat number. You could get on the dance floor to it, I would say, and should.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that will be the case. And that track is off a new record, which is coming in July. Qualifying Miles, what can we expect to hear on the record?
I think it's a pretty interesting record for us. Our last few records, we've been self-producing, and I think we've been really enjoying sort of getting immersed in a lot of production ideas, a lot of idiosyncratic production ideas. And this record, Qualifying Miles, is I think a little more stripped down. I think it feels a little more like a live band playing than the past couple records intentionally have not. Um, but yeah, I think it's very songwriting and hook focused. I think we were spending a lot of time thinking about the kind of rock that we grew up listening to. So like 90s alt rock. So I
Yeah.
think I think there's a little bit of that flavor in there, more than is usual in a We Are Scientists record. But it's hard to say because I think we often think that things sound dramatically different, and other people are like, "Oh yeah, it sounds like We Are Scientists." So I don't know. Yeah, it is funny for us to have to try to describe our music because we are
Yeah.
definitely way too close to it. I can only tell you what our intentions were.
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. And speaking of those intentions, the sound that you made with this record, was it the sound you wanted, or is it kind of how it turned out in the studio?
Yeah, I think one benefit of having a producer on hand is that they can often say, "Well, the sound that you have in your head is stupid, and so here's how I will, uh, you know, correctly filter what you're telling me you want to do, so that other people will want you to have done that." Um, well, I think with these last few records, they have sounded exactly the way we have wanted them to sound. I think they're perfect. I wouldn't change a thing. Um, but yeah, I think that is the minute we were a technically proficient enough to uh, get the sounds that we wanted to get, and also be convinced that we were providing an aesthetic check on one another
Hmm.
well enough. I mean, yeah, like self-producing is the I think the greatest difficulty in it is discipline and like sort of being able to stand back and say, just because you like this idea doesn't mean it's a good idea. But sometimes also it is saying that maybe just because you like it is reason enough to try to indulge it a little bit.
Hmm.
I think Chris Kane is much better at that kind of thing than I personally am. I think he is a much more responsible part of the production process than I am. So I think it is good that we are a dual production team.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure you wrote more than what made it onto this record. What happens to those now? Do you consider them again next time, or do you think you'll bin them off and start again?
Usually Yeah, our writing process for maybe the past 10 years has been to just write an insane amount of music. Like when we started out, our first few records were legitimately just like, here's what we've written. I mean, I guess
Mhm.
our first record was like, we've been a band for 4 years. Here are the songs that we like right now. Um, and then our next few records were like, well, we've had 18 months to write. Here are like we wrote 15 songs. Here are 11 of them.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, for the past maybe like decade, maybe more, we've just like we just write all the time. And we don't care while we're writing whether or not it's good. Like we sort of pointedly tried to make the act of songwriting feel less like a pressure cooker. Like for a long time, writing a song felt really stressful, and if you were working on something and it kind of seemed like even if it was good, but just might not be something we are scientists would use, I immediately was like, well, forget it. There's no point in even pursuing this. I'm wasting my time.
Mm.
Um, we have a lot more fun writing now, uh, but we do create a huge volume of music now. A lot of which is garbage, but it was fun to make at the time, and we never have to think about it again. Our last few records, um, we we really haven't gone back and mined the the stuff that didn't make the cut, even though at the time I think we thought there was other stuff that we could use. Yeah, when you're making records all the time, you sort of once something's in the rear view, you kind of tend to forget it.
Mm.
We're close enough to these more recent songs that we've written that there are still a few that we're saying, okay, they didn't really fit on qualifying miles just because of the general aesthetic we were going for, sort of that like 90s rock vibe.
Mm.
And there are a few more like much more traditional sounding We Are Scientists songs that we didn't use, and some kind of like punkier songs that we didn't use that we're saying we want to readdress once this album is out and we have time to think about that again.
Mhm.
Who knows? Given our history, we may just be like, well, let's just write some more songs and
Yeah.
move on. But there are a big handful of songs that like right now we're like, okay, we gotta record these as soon as possible. So we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
And over 20 years of releasing music now, how have you and how has the music evolved over the years?
Um, I think as I was saying, I think we've gotten much less precious about every individual song. I think when we first started out, um, especially because we would essentially end up playing every new song that we would write live. I mean, we're essentially writing before we put out our first record. We were only writing songs so that we had a live set. Like
Mm.
we'd be like, well, here's our new song. I guess we're playing it at the show on Friday. Um, and so there was there was a lot more like focus on here's a song idea. How do we turn this single song idea into uh like a compressed how do we turn this coal into a diamond? Like regardless of what the raw materials are, we got to make this thing perfect. And I think we made a lot of cool music because of that approach. I think we would really go out of our way to make the arrangements very interesting. Whereas I think now our approach is, well, what songs do we think on their own are the best songs? And then how do we uh what avenues do we pursue to make this song the best version of itself? So they are sort of different approaches
Mm.
to finishing a song, I would say.
Yeah, yeah, good. You get the chance to be doing some live shows in just
Yes,
a couple of weeks' time. You're heading off to Europe and then back here in the UK. I bet you can't wait to be doing some more shows.
absolutely.
How's it? How's the set list coming along? Because you've got what 9 albums now to pick from.
Yeah, it is very sad to go through like when I write a set list, I tend to lean very heavily on like, okay, what are fan favorites and what are like the songs that when we start playing them, people will immediately be like, yeah, that song's a banger. So I tend to like I lean very heavily on singles. Um, and I think Chris's take is always like, well, I want to write a set list for like the deep heads. So like, 10, maybe only 10 people in the room will recognize this song, but their minds will be blown that we're playing it. Um, especially on this tour when we're going out before the new album is even out, I think we obviously want to play a bunch of the new songs, but it's
Mm.
a little more of a balancing act because people won't have heard some of these songs. So I think I'll probably write the very first set list, and so I think it's going to be like just bangers and bangers and bangers, and then new stuff. Um, but we'll see how that evolves as the tour goes on.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then we're into festival season as well. You've got a couple of festivals booked in. Are you hoping to add
Yeah.
some more?
We're always down to add festivals. If you're a festival promoter and you have a gaping hole in your lineup, yeah, give us a call. Festivals are great because there really is not much you can like when you're on your own tour. Even though you spend a lot of the day um, feeling like you're not doing much, there's always something that you need to be doing to set up the show. Like your work day starts at 2 p.m. or whatever you're loading in and sort of ends at midnight or 1 a.m. At a festival, there really is nothing you can be doing. Like you're not really even allowed on stage before your set. Like you can be backstage kind of setting stuff up, but so festivals are a very leisurely day. Um, so it's nice to be sitting in a European field
Yeah.
where your only real job is to sip an Aperol spritz all day.
Mm.
Except for the 45 minutes you're on stage.
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
and frankly, I probably will be sipping an Aperol spritz during that 45-minute workday as well.
Why not? I mean, it's only
Yeah.
45 minutes. I'm sure you'll be able to cope. I think you know what you're doing by now as well. So
Yeah, I've timed the release of the alcohol perfectly.
yeah, down to a T.
Yeah.
And I like to talk about the writing side of things as well. So for you, how do tracks normally start off?
Um, well, I have this little space that you can see in the video, I guess, on radio. It's just like it's just a small room in my apartment that I have converted into like a kind of tiny small
Mm,
studio office. Um, so yeah, a lot of it starts in here, just kind of me with a synth or a bass. Um, and yeah, like I said, these days I do tend to just like not really worry about whether an idea even seems worth pursuing. I'll just be like, well, I'm in this office every single day. Today I'm just gonna play around and see what happens. So I try to write something every day if I can. Um, and then, after a year of that, Chris and I will be like, okay, what music do you have? And we'll send each other just a huge folder of crap to wade through. Chris actually creates an Excel grid where we grade each other's songs with a point system. We kind of go through, tally up how many points every song got. Um, and then usually end up kind of throwing that away, but it gives us a good idea of where our heads are at. Uh, and then we'll sit down with 15 songs, and for 3 months, like really focus on those. Do make demos of them,
mhm.
break the demos apart. A lot of our songwriting does happen like in the production process as well. We try to be pretty open to like turning the song inside out as we're recording it. So yeah, it's a pretty even though like we write the core ideas very quickly, the process tends to be pretty long. We have actually talked about like trying to truncate the entire thing and like try to like write a song and then immediately try to produce it as quickly as possible. We've
Hmm.
never really done that. We usually like sit and let the songs marinate, which I think is uh the preferable way to approach it. I definitely often will write a song and think it's the greatest song we've ever written, and then like after 3 months of sitting on it, be like, "What was I talking about? That we are not recording that." So I think a
Uh,
little distance. Again, like I said, when you're self-producing, I think trying to be both passionate and impartial at the
mhm.
same time is a big part of the balancing act.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And finally, I'll be speaking to your old bandmate Andy Burrows next week. Have you got a
Oh,
message for him that I can pass on?
oh my God. I mean, tell him that we've got a sitting appointment at the George, and I need that frosty pint as soon as possible. I'm so mad. He's going to be in Australia during our week off in London, and I mean, my plan for months has been that week I'm just going out to his place in the countryside and just going to hang out there. Now he's going to be gone. I have actually considered still just doing it and hanging out with his family while he's gone.
Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
I'm sure they'll let you in. Keith, it's been a pleasure having a chat with you.
All right. Likewise. Thanks for having me.